Hello folks, this is Tom Schuhart again, and like I promised before, I'm going to do a lesson on dinosaurs. The reason why this became an interest to me was when I was ordained a deacon back in 2003, there was a guy that I knew, a good friend of mine, and he had been a Christian his whole life, and he had still not been ordained a deacon. So I asked him, I asked him, I said, why have you not been ordained a deacon? And his answer kind of startled me. It said, because I believe in dinosaurs, which seemed kind of odd because dinosaurs did exist, and they found bones, and so I didn't understand. So I did a lot of studying on it. Scientists will have you believe that dinosaurs went extinct 65 million years ago. But we're going to talk about that, how that is not possible, okay? So when you're talking about dinosaurs, you have three main questions. Your first main question is, how are dinosaur bones dated? Because you really only have a couple of different options as far as dating goes. First is carbon-14 dating. But the half-life for carbon-14, and I'm not going to get into the nuclear aspect of it, but the half-life is only 5,000 years, and you can only get an accurate reading less than 10 half-lives. So you can only go 50,000 years before you could be before it has what they call non-detectable activity, NDA. So you can't do that. And then there's also other isotopes that you can use, but they're way too long. Their half-lives are millions and millions of years, and so those are really inaccurate. So the way they date dinosaur bones is the rock layers in which they find them, which is kind of funny, and we're going to talk about this in another later lesson. But the actual rock layers that they find them, you can't date those either because they're not igneous rocks. They're sedimentary rocks, so you really can't even judge them that way. Okay, so that's how they're dated. So the problem is, how do we know they're 65 million years old? Well, I'm going to tell you that there is a lot of things scientists don't tell you. The first thing I want to tell you is that the next question is, are there dinosaurs in the Bible? Now, there's a little bit of controversy with this, but in Job 40, starting in verse 15, it says, "Behold the behemoth, which I made as I made you. He eats grass like an ox. Behold, his strength is in his loins, and his power in the muscles of his belly. He makes his tail stiff like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are knit together. His bones are tubes of bronze, and limbs like bars of iron." Now he goes on and on about that. But I wanted to stop here because a lot of people are attributing this to an elephant or hippopotamus. Now, if you look at all the large land animals, what is the one distinguishing feature on all of these land animals? They all have small, wispy tails. And this one, as far as the behemoth goes, it says, he makes his tail stiff like a cedar. Now, the only land animal I can think of that has a tail that is stiff that is the size of a cedar is a dinosaur. So, Job obviously knew dinosaurs when he was talking to God about this. So, there is biblical evidence that dinosaurs existed when man did. Now, if that was it, I would probably stop there. But there is scientific evidence that you will probably never hear about because the scientific community cannot have dinosaurs living less than 65 million years ago. They just can't do it because it would actually validate what the Bible says. So, the next one is there scientific evidence of dinosaurs living less than 65 million years ago? And the answer is yes. In 2007, out near Montana, a paleontologist from North Carolina by the name of Mary Schweitzer, she uncovered a T-Rex bone that was broken apart. The important part of this is whenever a bone is identified and it's cleaned up, they're all intact and they all get put in place. Nobody ever looks inside the bones. Well, this one was already broken. And so, inside this bone was red sinewy tissue. Now, this causes a big problem because red sinewy tissue, under the absolute extreme best conditions, can only survive and only be there for 100,000 years. That is in scientific laboratory conditions. So that tells you that this T-Rex bone has to be less than 100,000 years old. Okay? Not only that, but they also found red blood cells. Now, red blood cells can only live outside of a living host for a matter of days, 120 days. So they actually found some red blood cells in there, and they actually found some protein. Now, this was never. She wrote a paper about it, and it was never published because the scientific community had to explain it away. And so the scientific community went down and they decided, okay, what we're going to say is that there was extra iron in the T-Rex bones that allowed the sinewy tissue to stay there. Because they can't deny that the tissue is there. They can't deny that these bones exist, that these bones had to have existed less than 100,000 years ago. I can't deny that. So what they did was they said there's extra iron in there, and what that did is that caused the red sinewy tissue to stay in there for 65 million years, which is ridiculous. But that's what they're trying to tell us. So, now, I hope you have a little bit better understanding about dinosaurs and a little bit better understanding of their significance in the Bible and the significance of the scientific discoveries that were made recently. This was just in 2007. And they're still trying to figure out ways to justify it. So again, hit below if you want to hear more about things in the Bible that you didn't know existed. Hit subscribe. If you like it, hit the like button. Let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me what you want to learn about the Bible. What you want to learn about recovery. What do you want to learn about anything? Whatever you want to learn about, I will find a way. Because this is help for the helpless. And we are all helpless. So any help that you need, feel free to ask. And other than giving you money, which I don't have any either. None of us have any money these days. But I will do what I can to help you understand. Everything we need to know in the world, in life, is in the Bible. One of the things I'm going to probably do for the next one, if I don't hear anything back, is I'm going to go through the 10 Commandments and tell you why they are still relevant today. Why they are still important today. And it all comes from the New Testament. The New Testament did not change the Old Testament. It did not disqualify it. It just explained it better. Okay? And if I don't hear anything back, next time we're going to talk about the 10 Commandments and why they're still relevant. All right? Thanks, guys. God bless you. And I'll see you next time.